Three generations of the Deetz family return home to Winter River after an unexpected family tragedy. Still haunted by Beetlejuice, Lydia's life soon turns upside down when her rebellious teenage daughter discovers a mysterious portal to the afterlife. When someone says Beetlejuice's name 3 times, the mischievous demon gleefully returns to unleash his very own brand of mayhem. What's going on, Flix Talkers? Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel for the first time. Make sure to hit that big thumbs up if you guys are into movie reactions, movie reviews like this, and live streams here on the channel. Now, I'm going to dive deep into just kind of my unraw, unfiltered reaction, my review for Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, the sequel that came out about almost 40 years later, I believe 36 years since the first film back in the late 80s. Now, I'm going to give you guys my likes, some of my dislikes, and I gotta say before I get into it, this movie for me had more dislikes than likes, unfortunately. But let's get into some of the likes. I do like that it's directed and we have some of the same people involved, not including just some of the people in front of the camera, but also people behind the camera, including Tim Burton and Danny Elfman. So Danny Elfman is on the music once again, and he's fantastic. And all the scores that he's done over his career, Tim Burton as well. He's a fantastic, just creative genius, and I'm so glad that he's part of a project like this, once again, almost 40 years after. Now, let's jump to this cast of Catherine O'Hara, Winona Ryder as Lydia Deetz, Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice, and introducing Jenna Ortega as Astrid Deetz, who plays the daughter of Winona Ryder. So we're getting a lot. I know people are like, well, how did the daughter come to be? We get a rough explanation of a lot of things, and that kind of jumps to one of my dislikes. I'm going to be jumping back and forth from likes to dislikes, guys. So one of my dislikes is there are so many subplots in this movie, and it feels so rushed with just information of, okay, well, we have a daughter now for Lydia Deetz, the iconic Lydia Deetz, who she does act like Lydia. I mean, even though it's 36 years later or so, she still acts like that same young girl, just kind of dealing with adult problems, so to speak. But we do get a quick backstory on what happened to her husband and why there's so much hostility between her and Astrid. So we do get kind of thrown into a lot of information once again. Also, there is a death in the family. I mean, we saw that in the trailer, which I predicted right away who they were going to kill off, basically, because of this character's real life past, and it caught up, so to speak, to bite him in the ass for any future projects. So you guys know exactly who I'm talking about if you guys know about this original cast. Now, that being said, I do kind of like how they played on this character's death, but they played on it way too long. And that's something that my fiance and I both agreed on, is that it would have been cool to just kind of show a cameo, just really quick, acknowledging this character not being here anymore. They made it the butt of the joke the whole dang time, and they spent way too much time trying to flesh out a lot of this, almost like honoring him like a legacy character, when you dig deeper, this guy was not a really good guy in real life, none whatsoever. I don't even want to say really. He was a terrible person in real life, and though he was a part of a lot of our iconic films, I'm talking about Jeffrey Jones, okay? If you guys don't know who I'm talking about, I'm talking about Jeffrey Jones. He's a terrible person in real life, even though he was a part of a lot of our iconic films growing up in the 80s, 90s, whatever. So that aside, we get introduced to a couple of new characters who you guys have seen in the trailers for Beetlejuice. Monica Bellucci playing Dolores, and Willem Dafoe playing Wolf Jackson. Now, Monica Bellucci's character, she's fine in it. This is the weirdness of everything. She becomes a subplot to Beetlejuice that starts off a little interesting. They really don't do anything with this subplot, and that was kind of a letdown, because it seems like there was going to be more, and the ending when she comes back and kind of confronts Beetlejuice, it was so lackluster and rushed, and it seemed like they were trying to really replicate the first movie in that third sequence, you know, the whole wedding scene, and it just seemed like this movie did not know what it wanted to be, so they just threw a lot of crap at you. They had to add some kind of love interest for Jenna Ortega, which was so predictable and formulaic. Like, you didn't need to do any of that. It could have just been about the haunting and the ghost, which is a huge part of Lydia Deetz's life still as an adult, but it's just, they went in so many different directions that as a Beetlejuice fan, I really got torn and I didn't know what to think about it. Now, this movie is tracking to do very well percentage wise, and if you guys like it, you guys like it. I personally didn't like it as much as I wanted to like it. I love the first movie. I think the first movie is a 5 out of 5, mainly because in that hour and a half runtime, you get beat after beat, right? I'm not talking about beat Beetlejuice, but you kind of do. You get those just really fast you know, this is like what a movie's supposed to be like, and maybe you can say that it's because it was the 80s, or maybe the runtime shorter, but that one just felt like it got to the point a lot quicker. This movie, Beetlejuice 2, I should say, is about an hour and 45 minutes, and it just feels like it's a 3-hour movie. I don't know why it felt so drawn out and long at certain points. Once again, I think it's because they were trying to do so much with a lot of different things. There's a lot of stuff going on in the afterlife, which is cool. Another one of my likes for the movie is dealing, you know, and just jumping back into all of that afterlife, afterworld type of stuff, because it still is very cool. The practical effects, even in 2024, still look very cool. You get to see a lot of them in the trailers, so you kind of already know what to expect. Once again, we get a lot of cameos kind of thrown in there that we didn't see in the trailer, so that's always fantastic to see. It's just kind of a aha moment, you know what I mean? Like, just put the little smile on your face and whatnot, and then you kind of thrown back into this movie that is kind of boring at times, to be honest. All of that praise and love for the practical effects just really couldn't get me engaged with this movie. There's a lot of scenes with Justin Theroux, Rory's character, who's a new love interest for Lydia Deetz, that just didn't work for me. Anytime he was on scene trying to tell a joke, they just were not landing. The rest of my theater just was not laughing. Nobody was. And you know what? My fiance made a good point. No one at the end of this movie clapped. Wouldn't you think, for a crazy, iconic cult following of a movie like Beetlejuice, if the movie was good, don't you think people at the end, when the credits roll, people would get up and start clapping, or at least a little bit of, you know, a little titter of a... Not one. It was silent. Everyone got up. No one was waiting for a post-credit scene, which there is not a post-credit scene. But usually, if you don't know that, you stay along for the credits, right? Just thinking that there might be one. Everyone got up and wanted to get out of there as soon as possible. I'm giving you guys the real deal experience in my theater. Once again, your experience may be different. So I don't want to spend too much time on this reaction, guys, or this review. So I think I'm going to give Beetlejuice a solid 3 out of 5, saying a lot of the practicals. And I forgot to even talk about Beetlejuice himself, Mr. Michael Keaton, who was kind of the saving grace for me. And he was the saving grace in the original. He did fantastic. I was here for Beetlejuice. For what he was given and the screen time that he had, I think he did a fantastic job. It seemed very fluid. A lot of the gags that he was performing on himself worked. If you like Beetlejuice, the character, you'll like his, you know, implication into this movie once again, or just kind of his insertion into the story that they built around this. Lydia Deetz is also great. Catherine O'Hara is fine, I guess. Monica Bellucci is whatever. Jenna Ortega is just whatever. Willem Dafoe, it's kind of cool. Willem Dafoe's character is kind of cool. Once again, you're throwing so many characters at you. You just like, okay, like either this character is going to hit or they're not. And for the most part, they don't. So it's just kind of, you know, it was very lackluster, guys. So I'm just giving it an average rating. All right, Flickstalkers, what did you think of Beetlejuice? Please let me know in the comments below. Do you guys plan to watch it this weekend? It's going to be a hot one, by the way, guys. We're getting a huge heat wave across the country. Jesus. I would say, yes, go to the theater just to experience that AC if you guys can. All right, Flickstalkers, I'll talk to you guys in the next one. I'm gone. Peace.